It comes as police figures show 1 million offences were committed in London in the past year, 1/6 of all those in England and Wales. Despite that, the Met says public confidence in the force is rising and is celebrating some successes. Our Home Affairs correspondent Guy Smith has the breakdown.
It comes as little surprise that London has the highest rate of recorded crime, more than 1 million offences in the past year. That's almost 1/6 of all crime. But like the rest of England and Wales, the total figures have in fact stabilised. An unprovoked and vicious attack on a tourist in Leicester Square, this gang beating and then robbing him. Today's figures show violence is up 11%. And if you look at the number of drug offences in the capital, well, they've also shot up, as have sexual offences. Robberies, though, are down by 1/5 due to a crackdown last year. Burglary has also dropped. The Tory candidate for London Mayor, though, is unimpressed.
I think what's interesting is that whenever you ask Londoners, how do you feel about crime, they say, we feel more fearful now than ever before, despite just throwing more money at the problem. These figures only tend to underline that. They may or may not prove to be part of a long-term trend, but what they certainly do say is, this is the biggest problem this city has got.
But this year's crime stats have admittedly been difficult to interpret. A new system of recording offences having exaggerated many of the figures. Police now having to make a note of even the smallest incident, like pushing someone in a pub. But that still doesn't get away from the fear of crime for many Londoners. We talked to one pensioner whose life has been made a misery.
Because this had all been kicked out so that they could get in. The place was all strewed everywhere with bits of wood and splinters and that.
Hazel Flint describing how burglars broke into her home last week. It's the second time it's happened, and last year she was put in hospital by a mugger who attacked her for £5.
I'm a prisoner in my own house, absolutely. Before that I wouldn't go out on my own, but now I can't stay in the house on my own. Because with the being out and in, on the two occasions, I just can't stay anywhere now.
Now, overall crime here in London may have gone up only slightly, but the clear-up rate is disappointing. Just 14% of crimes being detected, something that's a cause of concern for the Met.
It certainly must be. The Met's John Yates joins me now. If we turn that round, John Yates, 86% of all crimes in the capital are not solved, and yet you have record numbers.
We've got more to do, but we look at crime reduction, we look at crime prevention, we look at the whole picture around that. Detections, we must do better on that. Better intelligence, better analysis, better use of forensics. We're going to be doing all that, and we are doing that at the moment. But I do come back to things we've done well. People don't want to focus on that. Burglary, lowest for 27 years. That is a great news story for Londoners.
It is great, and I think Guy did go into the burglary figures. Let's just go back to this, though. You say you've got to do better, you've got to do more. What are you actually doing, then, to get this 86 figure down? Forgive me for coming back to it, but it's a huge one, isn't it?
Perfectly fair to do it, don't worry. It's the investment in our intelligence assets. We are an intelligence-led organisation. We are investing enormous sums in analysts coming into work for the Met to actually analyse what the problem is. That gives us better products to go out there and actually target the people who are actually doing these crimes.
And what do we make? Part of the difficulty is when we hear these figures, and we've got the British crime figures, which are how people feel that crime is, and we've got the Home Office statistics. Do you feel that the waters are being muddied by all these different figures that we're trying to make sense of?
It is a confusing picture out there. But what I would say in London, in terms of the British Crime Survey, which was the one that Londoners, the media, hold a lot of stock by, London in terms of, as a region, is the closest in terms of the correlation with our recorded crime than anywhere else in the country. That shows us that Londoners have got confidence.
One quick word on violent crime, because you do say that you're looking at crime prevention. Clearly violent crime hasn't come down, and that is a big worry.
Yeah, I come back to the figures again. I'm afraid that is around some of the lower level crime. Again, I don't want to diminish the effect of any particular crime on any victim, but things like common assaults now form part of violent crime. They never did before, and that's inflating the figures.
OK, John Yates, many thanks for your time this evening.
Thank you.
The company which runs our airports has been accused by MPs of willfully misleading the public over runway expansion. BAA had previously told people living near Heathrow that a third runway would be unacceptable. Well, now, of course, it's lobbying hard for it to be built. But the report by MPs says expansion at Heathrow, Gatwick and Stansted would still be better than building a brand new airport on a greenfield site. Let's go live to Asad Ahmed, who's at Heathrow in Terminal 4. BAA came in for rather a pasting then.
That's right, Emily. Every time there's a development in the ongoing argument over airport expansion, it seems to leave some people happy, it leaves some people angry. Tonight, the happy people live near Cliff in Kent because the Transport Select Committee basically ruled that area out from having a new airport. The angry people live near existing airports like Heathrow, which were recommended for expansion. The other angry people are BAA, who were basically described by the Transport Select Committee as being short-sighted. Heathrow this morning packed with passengers as it is all year round. Britain has the second biggest aviation market after America, and it's getting bigger, which is why MPs are worried about overcrowding in our airports as well as the skies, unless more runways are built. They say it could take up to 15 years to add to the existing strips, so action needs to be taken now. The rise in passengers at Heathrow, Gatwick and Stansted is huge. A decade ago, just over 70 million people used the airports. Today, that figure is more than 100 million. 10 years from now, over 150 million people are expected to take to the skies. Stansted alone has seen a tenfold increase in 2 decades. The possibility of building a new airport at don't want to see another runway in West London.
I don't agree with it at all, because all these homes are going to go, jobs, everything.
Might be all right for the airport, but for the residents around this area, I mean, I work up the road, and that means my workplace would be moved, and not very good at all.
The government has promised a new airport policy this year, but it's extremely unlikely to bring all interested parties together with a harmonious approach to expansion in the southeast. Now, most passengers who check themselves into Heathrow every day don't live near existing airports. What they care about is making sure that their flights arrive and leave on time and having a sufficient choice in which to choose their flights to jet themselves around the world. Now, the government say they've got this new airport policy up their sleeve. If they're going to keep everyone happy, they'll probably need a genie up their sleeve as well, or at least one in a bottle. Emily?
Yeah, it doesn't sound likely at this stage. We've just got some breaking news, actually. Details are emerging of a chemical spillage that's closed the Blackwall Tunnel in both directions. We know that 5 fire engines are on the scene dealing with the incident. It happened just after 5:30 this afternoon. London Fire Brigade is saying it sent scientific advisors to the tunnel to try to establish what the chemical is. You can see traffic moving pretty slowly there. The incident causing these large traffic tailbacks on the roads around the tunnel. Of course, you can catch up with the traffic news on 94.9 FM, our radio station, and if we hear anything more about that chemical spillage around the Blackwall Tunnel, we'll certainly update you before the end of the programme. A man currently living and working in South London's appeared in court accused of torture and hostage-taking in Afghanistan. Zadad Sawar appeared at Bow Street Magistrates Court this morning. The charges relate to alleged crimes during the Afghan civil war in the early 90s when he was a military commander. Complaints about the train company Connex, the firm now stripped of its franchise, rose dramatically last year. The London Transport Users Committee received 14% more complaints about Connex's southeastern routes in the last financial year than in the preceding 12 months. The figures also show that complaints about South West trains were up by 20% on the previous year. Now, the school summer holidays are one of the most stressful times of year for many parents, and they're about to get tougher. Increasing costs and a shortage of play schemes has left many parents unsure how they'll afford to look after their children this summer. Play schemes in inner London cost around £48 a week. In outer London, they're over £60. That's a 16% increase over the past year. Now, spending on food